Hello, African Confessions. How are you? I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you. It was forwarded to me by one of our admins. The message reads like this. Dear Brother Nashi, please post for me. Something happened to our son and I have been quiet like most men do. I have been observing, but I just said nothing. Now I can see that days indeed are evil and people now can do anything for the sake of money. I don't know why the world has turned into such a scary place. The world used to be good, but now the world is full of evil people. People are always chasing after money and they do not care about the consequences anymore. This woman, I will call her my wife, but looks like she had moved on. This is what happened. I am from a city called Kano in Nigeria. We had 3 children with my wife, 2 girls and 1 boy. That 1 boy is the one that was sacrificed, and it happened in a very strange way. Even now, I still do not even understand or to believe that the boy was sacrificed because of the way that he was sacrificed. My wife moved to Lagos seeking for greener pastures, and because she claimed that I was a slow man, and the day that she left me, she said something that was quite interesting, and at that time, I didn't give it any thought at all. She just said that I am so lazy that I can't even notice that everything that was happening to my life is very spiritual. The poverty that we were facing, she said that it was spiritual. I am a slow man, I know, but I never wanted to visit any spiritualist, because I knew that nothing good will come out of these voodoo rituals. She was not happy with the lifestyle that we had. I was just a teacher and I would only depend on my salary. I am not that kind of a man who runs around and do business deals. We just had a very normal life. Now she moved to Lagos. This was about 6 years ago. And I was not in a position to follow her as much as I was heartbroken. But I watched her leave. I could not follow her because of my job or to seek a transfer, because I was not a big city life person. And I knew that if I was going to go ahead and look for a transfer to the city, it was going to take a very long time, and I had to bribe someone in the process so that my papers can be processed very fast. That is how life is in Nigeria, and I didn't have any money to bribe anyone. We maintained our relationship like that, and she will visit me each and every month. Then she changed till she would come once or twice a year. I was deeply hurt. There were many days when I would ask myself if she had met another man there in the city. I wouldn't say anything, and whenever I suggested that I also wanted to visit her, she would not allow me. This was when she had told me that she had found a very good paying job there in the city. When she told me the salary that she was earning in the city, it was 3 times more the salary that I was earning as a teacher. So I asked her if she was willing to assist me back to the big city. And in my plans that I had and my vision, when I had arrived in the city, I would go around the private schools looking for a better working opportunity. If I was not going to get that opportunity in the neighborhood where I'll be staying, I'll just start to do some extra lessons so that I can get my foot off the ground. I gave up when I saw that she didn't want me to join up with her in the city. I continued with my life, but what I can say is that we didn't have a marriage at all. 3 years ago, she came. Then she took our son. I was really fond of my son, so much that when my wife left me, when she told me that I was so lazy, I didn't want to do what other men were doing, I told her that you can take our daughters with you, but as for my son, I am going to stay with him. Even my son, he actually didn't want to go with his mother. That is how me and my wife got separated. She went to Lagos with our daughters. Then I was left with our son so that he can continue with his schooling in Kano. But what surprised me is that I only stayed for 1 month. When she came back with our daughters, and she kept on complaining that our daughters were being naughty, and she was afraid that the way that they were being naughty, the city was going to transform them. So when she came back, she left me with the rest of our children. Now, a lot of my people would say I am not clever, but women are wayward. And sometimes you can fall in love with a woman whom, when you look at her, you will see that you are a very lucky man to be in a marriage with that kind of a woman. My wife, when you look at her, you will think that she just fell from heaven. She is really beautiful. And when I got involved with her, she was always dominating me. I never had the opportunity to be the man of the house. I could not even say any word in this marriage, but what I knew was that she was the love of my life, and indeed she was my wife. My son then arrived in Lagos, and he was the one who came back the next Christmas and told me that he had a secret that he wanted to tell me. When my son told me that he had a secret that he wanted to tell me, I just thought that he just wanted to gossip around. He then said, "Mom, he had a man whom she was staying with." My sister, who lived in Lagos, also confirmed this, but I didn't have any strength to ask my wife. I was really scared of losing everything. Beginning of this year, I received a phone call that our son had passed away. I was really devastated. How could he die whilst he was not sick? I sent my sisters, who quickly went there to see what had happened. Then they found the man, the boyfriend who was with her. He is the one who did all the talking. My sisters later told me that the man himself, he didn't even report the case to the police. By who had stabbed my son whilst he was sleeping in bed? There was no answers at all, and we are afraid to take this matter any further because the man that is now staying with my wife, I heard that and I saw that indeed he is very connected. I saw the convoy of big cars when the body of my child was returned back home so that he can be buried. The people who stabbed him were never found. We just heard that the police report was saying it was a forced entry into the bedroom where he was staying. The reason why they said that the armed robbers were the ones that killed my son, it was because his laptops, the cell phones, and some of his clothing were stolen when there was that forced entry. But I never got the opportunity to look at that house. But from what I hear, that this man is really rich. I don't think that armed robbers can just get into his house without sounding an alarm. There is security at his house, so I heard. But how did these armed robbers manage to sneak into the house, stab my son, then get out of the house? I suspect that there is something that happened to my son. Even the way that this man reported the matter to the police, it was not like he went to report that matter to the police, but the police came to the house so that they can hear his version of the story. No one was ever arrested. Everything that happened during the burial of my son, everything was just strange, because after my son's body was collected from that man's house, he was then taken to a local parlor. I don't know if this is the correct procedure, because I thought that my son was supposed to be taken to the hospital first, since this was a murder. But when I tried to ask the police about this, they said that this was not a murder case, and they provided me with no explanations at all. He was just taken to a local parlor. And when I called my wife, when I told her that I didn't want my son to be buried before we knew what had happened to my son. The following morning, after I had spoken with my wife, because I was still looking for money so that I can travel to Lagos to understand what was really going on, because I was just getting information through the phone. So I wanted to go and see what was going on, but I just saw a convoy of big cars that were traveling with another car that was carrying my son's body from Lagos, coming with his body so that he can be buried. I was really heartbroken with the way that my son's funeral was handled. It was as if my wife wanted to show off to me and to the rest of the community that when she got divorced to me, that is when she met her success. This thing, it still pains me a lot. There was this other point in my life when I wanted to commit suicide, but my pastor sat down with me. He told me to wait upon the judgment of God. But this whole thing that happened, even up until today, it still hurts me a lot, because when they took out the coffin which was carrying my son, I immediately went to open to see if indeed my son had been stabbed. When I touched my son's dead body, I noticed that the wound was very deep, and I looked at my wife. That woman, I don't know if she was just strong. She never cried, and she still refused even to stand next to me. My wife and that convoy of big cars, they didn't even wait for any speeches to be made. They just traveled back to the city. I now hear that she indeed is a very happy woman, and I heard that the man whom she is staying with is really a successful businessman. I have a lot of questions, and I know that the pastor tried to comfort me. Even people from our congregation, they try to comfort me as much as they can, but I have a lot of unanswered questions. Like I told my pastor, and he told me not to say those words anymore, but I think that is the truth. Being a poor man in this world is a curse. If you are a poor man, you are cursed, because there is no one who wants to assist you if you are a poor man. Sometimes I can't even sleep at night. I keep on asking myself, if I failed my son, what really happened to my son on the night which the police claim that he was fatally stabbed in an armed robbery gone wrong? Dear listeners, right there was a message that we received via our email address. Such a sad story. Please let us try to speak with our dear brother in the comment section. If you have any story that you want to share with us, please contact us via our email address.